Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Looks like we already have most of our registered participants in the webinar here with us. I'm just going to allow for one more minute for anyone else to join, any late arrivals who may want to come in. Looks like we're just missing a few people who are on the registered list. And while we wait, I'll just remind everyone this is a webinar format, so all of the attendees will be muted throughout the presentation, and we'll go ahead and handle questions at the end. But we can get into those details here shortly. Okay, we had one or two more arrivals. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to the latest episode from our IMS webinar series. I am Aaron Blair and I will be your presenter. I've been working with IMS and Retail Pro for the past 17 years, doing everything from project management to implementation to training. So what can you expect from these webinars? Well, first and foremost, you can expect the webinar right here and right now. At the end of the webinar, I will be addressing questions. So if you have any questions, please use the chat box and those messages will come directly to me. The webinar should run anywhere between 45 minutes and 1 hour, and that really just depends on the quantity and the depth of questions that we get at the end. Okay, so let's dive right into today's topic, e-commerce, and specifically e-commerce integration to Retail Pro. For that, I want us to think about three simple questions. Number one, why? Why do you need an online presence? Number two, how? How do you get started selling online? And how do you get that e-commerce platform connected to Retail Pro? Number three, when? Right? How quickly can you get set up and running on an e-commerce website linked into Retail Pro? And we will talk about that later because I think that is important. And that's kind of the big question a lot of people have is what is the timing on something like this? But let's start with discussing the why. Why do you need to be selling online? The simple fact is so many people shop online. Many people who have been resistant to online shopping are going to eventually try it. And many of them already have. They see how easy and convenient it is, and they're likely to keep coming back. And then there's new opportunities. An e-commerce presence not only allows you to reach more customers, but it also allows those customers to shop anytime from anywhere, 24/7, 365. E-commerce also allows you to leverage additional selling platforms for a true omni-channel experience. So you can quickly link your product catalog to Amazon, eBay, and many other selling platforms with your existing Retail Pro inventory. I cannot tell you how many times I see brands on Amazon, for example, selling against themselves to capture sales that would otherwise be lost. An online store can also increase your overall inventory mix. Whether it's just an issue of square footage, you can only fit so much in your store, or it's a vendor that will not work with you on a small in-store presence, but may entertain the idea of an online shop, you'll have new options available to you. So imagine your customer doesn't see a specific size or color or style in your store because you just don't stock it. And then imagine saying, here, let me help you with that. I can help you order that from our website to ship right to your home, or I can have it brought into the store here for pickup. Let's do it right from your phone, or we can do it from our point of sale station, or maybe you can have an in-store kiosk to allow people to search and browse your website and then buy products right there from inside your store, as I said, to have shipped to their home or to have shipped to the store for later pickup. Here's just a look at some widely published statistics. These are from late 2019, but they give a pretty good idea about overall online sales. So e-commerce has been growing 23% year over year for the past several years. Yet only 46% of American small businesses do not have a website. This middle one I wanted to include here because I think this is interesting, and really it's just the power of the review. So 81% of consumers trust the advice of friends, family, and other consumers being online reviews over businesses. So why is this important? This is important because if you have an e-commerce presence where people can really come together as your shoppers and help each other out, answer questions, leave reviews, right? We see this all the time. And this is what people trust more than anything. They want to hear the experiences that other people just like them had with your products or with your service. And then the reality is that 96% of Americans who have access to a computer and the internet or a smartphone, they've made some sort of online purchase in their life. And here's just a better visualization of that overall growth of online sales throughout the world. So this is a worldwide look in billions of US dollars. I mean, we all know that the world's moving online, and clearly you can see that this trend is going to continue for the foreseeable future, especially as you look at 2018, 19, 20, and beyond. This number is just going to go up, and keeping in mind that that is in billions of US dollars. Okay, so you're convinced you need a web store, but what are the options? Of course, we have Retail Pro as the back-end inventory system of record, which has its own variety of versions, and we'll talk about that a little more later when we talk about timing. But right now, let's specifically talk about shopping cart platforms. So for those of you who are not familiar with the terminology, here's a high-level explanation that I've given in previous e-commerce webinars and demonstrations, and I think it works well. A shopping cart is just a software that allows customers to shop on a website, create a list of products they want to buy by adding them to a virtual cart. And basically, it's the technology that takes your informational website, so how to contact you, what your store hours are, those types of information pieces, and it adds the power of selling, so that when you have shop now on your website, that's going to take them to a shopping cart platform that will be integrated, that really will be your online catalog. And listed here, these are the top 10 shopping cart platforms, but as you can see, the top 4 of these absolutely dominate the industry. They comprise of nearly 96% of the entire market. These are Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, and BigCommerce. And I'm sure many of you have heard of most of these, right? Shopify is just becoming the dominant platform. BigCommerce is actually coming up significantly. So that number has probably even increased since I put this slide together. WooCommerce, many people would know for some of the older WordPress websites. This was really the one option to integrate an online cart. And then Magento has just been around for quite some time, and they're always holding a decent part of the market share. So again, you can work with any shopping cart. Typically, we can assist with integration if there's something that you're happy with and want to stick with. But if not, if you're flexible or if you already have one of these are really the big 4. And these are the integrations that we do more often than anything else. Okay, in addition to your shopping cart, there are other options to consider. Of course, the bulk of your products will come from Retail Pro, but they may also come from vendors whose products you only sell online. I touched on this earlier about the ability to increase your inventory as a reason to integrate e-commerce. For example, if you have a vendor that will carry online only, you can fulfill those orders via your website and still bring them down into Retail Pro and track them with your overall sales. But one of the benefits here, of course, outside of just being able to carry more inventory online, is you may never even have to touch that product, right? That's the drop ship business. So you may be able to integrate a vendor, have people order their product, pay you directly, and that order gets fulfilled by the vendor who drop ships it to that customer. The only thing you're handling is the customer service of the order in between. You also have options to determine how the system handles that fulfillment. One of the things I just said was the order comes down into Retail Pro. So while this isn't a significant factor long term, it's an important decision that you do have to make up front. So the first option is you can have all of your orders handled completely on your website and have them come down into Retail Pro as a receipt. So that order is simply paid for online. It is fulfilled online. You're going to ship it. You're going to use any integrated shipping or add-ons, and I'll talk about that in a second. And Retail Pro is simply going to get a receipt that says, here's what I sold, here's the tender, here's how much it was. Go ahead and decrement this item from inventory so it doesn't show as in stock anymore. And then the other option is actually to just bring a sales order down so that the only thing you may be doing on the website is taking payment, but you're doing any order fulfillment either at your store or your warehouse, and then you're pushing that back up to the website to say, hey, I took care of this order. Maybe here's the tracking number. I just want to let you know that this is fulfilled so that the website can trigger any follow-up emails or anything of that nature to the customer. What I can tell you is that 95% of customers choose to complete fulfillment on their website. And the reason for that is simple. The shopping cart platforms, they're already set up for this. They are set up to be able to handle orders, ship orders, follow up with customers. This is exactly what they were built for. And there are also some easy to integrate add-ons for things like taxes, fulfillment, and shipping. And one great example of that is a product called ShipStation. ShipStation is an add-on. It's available on all of the major shopping cart platforms. It handles shipping, order tracking, customer follow-up, and a lot more. It even has built-in logic to determine the best shipping methods for you based on things like weight and destination. And it can automatically generate labels on a standard or a mobile printer. And understand, we don't sell ShipStation. We don't work with ShipStation. I just personally think it's a really nice product that a lot of our customers who do e-commerce integration has said good things about. So I thought it was something important to bring up. Okay, so continuing with how it works, there's, as we said, 3 pieces to the integration project. There's Retail Pro, your inventory system of record. There's your website, which is your online shopping cart and selling platform. And then there's the e-commerce integration tool. The Retail Pro setup is the easy part. We're going to leverage your existing inventory, including descriptive information, pricing, quantities, and even product images. The integration automates this process on an ongoing basis. And we're going to see a little bit of that. I'm going to show you kind of high level how these pieces and parts actually work. Now, the website setup, that can seem daunting, but in general, I can tell you it's not. Especially in the modern day of the internet, there are so many simple web platforms, including the ones we discussed before, that actually make it very easy to get a site up and running. They have thousands of predefined templates, or you can utilize the services of our web team to assist you with design, or your own web team, or anyone you might know that can design a website. But the cataloging, the online shopping and payment portion, those are all very, very easy to set up. You can even set up features like dropship, pick up in store, and then make some connections to some of those other sales platforms we talked about. And again, I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like. Now, the last piece of the puzzle, and that's really what we think is the special sauce, that's the e-commerce integration tool. And there's actually several options that we can utilize, but they do the same thing. The integration tool allows you to create that seamless and automated link between online and in-store. So taking product from Retail Pro, pushing it up to the website, automatically managing any changes in cost, price, quantity, and then taking orders on the website for those products and having those flow back into Retail Pro so that we can recognize the sale. We can recognize it as a web sale. We can recognize the revenue, and we can decrement the product from our current on-hand inventory. And finally, for how it works, here's a chart to show you what the system looks like all tied together. So Retail Pro feeds your e-commerce platform, which I have as the unified commerce engine here. And inside of this engine, you can feed many other systems, such as shipping and fulfillment, like ShipStation, or customer management platforms, or a data warehouse for advanced analytics. And as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, you can also feed other selling platforms, like Amazon and eBay, just to name a couple. Also, you'll even have a level of synchronization for your customer history. So if a customer creates an account on your website and a record with that email address already exists in your Retail Pro system, the customer accounts will actually be connected to give you a full picture of that shopper, both in-store and online. So really, in a simple form, if we look at this going clockwise from starting with the left, Retail Pro has your inventory. It goes up to the website. It can also go out to other selling platforms, and everything in the middle, we can take that same data and push it out wherever we need to. Okay, so that's enough on the explanation side. Let me kind of show everyone here a bit about how this works. So this is just a demo machine that I have set up, and there's really three pieces that I'm going to show you. Number one is we have to determine which items that we want to go up to the website. And that's this piece here. So if you look, this is a very simple interface. On the left side are all of your DCS codes. I'm going to use an example of dog. This is one of my departments that I have for demo purposes. Inside of that, I have a class of food, and inside of that, a subclass of grain-free. If I select on grain-free, here are all of the options that I have. Now, these are different because they're in different varieties and different sizes. So this is a style, as we call it in Retail Pro, and we'll see on the website, it's just called something different, but really follows the same logic. All I need to do here is select the checkbox for web item, and that's going to send these up to the website. Now, I've already done that here. These already exist on my website, and we'll see that as we move over there. The important part is this is really the only manual step to the process, and it makes sense that it's manual because you are the one that has to go in and determine which items you want going up to your website. Okay, so I'm just going to close that, and I'm going to go over here to a couple of pages that I already have. So number one, this is called the Octopus Bridge. This is one of the e-commerce integration options that we have, and I thought I would show this one today. And then on this other tab here, I actually have my own demo development Shopify website for my IMS R Pro. So starting here on the Octopus page, this is where you're going to be able to manage things like, if we look on the left side menu, products and orders. Right? These are the two important things. There's also other things where we can integrate certain shopping carts, certain other selling platforms. So for example, if you look at the top here, I have a checkbox for Shopify. If I also had an Amazon site, an eBay store, those would all be available as well. Because essentially all we're doing is we're selecting items from this integration tool, and then we're selecting what sites we want them to go to. So we may not be allowed to sell American Journey dog food on Amazon or eBay. So those items we would only want to push to Shopify. Other things that we may want to clear out at a discount, we know we're going to take a hit on Amazon or eBay. Those could only go to those sites, but maybe not on our regular website, because we're trying to eliminate some of those lower price items from our true web platform. Now, as you can see here, as I scroll down, of course, this is my demo system. So I've got all different types of merchandise in here, anything from grain-free dog food to dress socks. And on to page 2, I have some ski bindings, some canvas tote bags, and a book. So this is all of the merchandise out of my Retail Pro system, which has thousands of items in it, that I decided I want to sell on my website. So going over to that website, here we can see our products. Now, one thing that looks a little bit different is I don't have 2 pages of listings, because the way that it lists it here in Shopify is it puts all of the variants together. So this is what we would really call a style in Retail Pro. Shopify simply calls it variants. So for example, here's that grain-free dog food. We only see one line item, but we see that if we click into here, that it comes in 15 different variants. So here's all the basic information, including my image from Retail Pro, my basic title. You can include a long description, an HTML description. You could add more media files, so things like 360 views, color swatches, videos of a product. All of that is available here on the website. This is certainly not a tutorial on how to utilize Shopify, but understand that there's a lot that you can do in here really on the e-commerce side that doesn't exist on the brick and mortar side at the Retail Pro level. And then if we scroll down here, you can see all of my variants. And you can see that I have different size bags that have different prices associated with them. I have different attributes, salmon, lamb, chicken, beef. And you can see I have 4 pound, 6 pound, 12 and 24 pound, all at different price points. So these are all just the variants that exist here in Shopify. Now this is the listing of products. As I said, this is what's going to appear on my website. Not going to get into how that's going to look or feel. This is really just the back-end management for our purposes of this webinar. And on the flip side of products is orders. Now, we talked about this before. There's 2 different ways that those orders could come down into Retail Pro. I have this set up so they're coming down as receipts. And what does that mean? That means that any order that gets marked as number 1, paid, and number 2, fulfilled, these will come down to Retail Pro on the next scheduled cycle. So you can schedule this every 15 minutes, every 5 minutes, once an hour, to say, hey, I want you to go look for new fulfilled orders, and I want you to bring them down into Retail Pro so that I can recognize them as receipts. And once those are brought down into Retail Pro, as we said before, they are going to be recognized, they are going to decrement inventory, and all of those good things are going to happen that are supposed to happen. So that's kind of the basic run through of what happens, right? We started by identifying which items we want to put to the website. Those items at that point will now automatically go up to the website on that schedule. And then customers will go on, they will shop, they will create orders, those orders will get fulfilled, and then those orders will come down into Retail Pro and the cycle will continue. Because really at the end of the day, your web store is just another location. So if you have a single brick and mortar store, this is location number 2. If you have 10 brick and mortar stores, this is just location number 11, right? So there's not much difference in the way that this is going to act. And certainly there's almost no difference in the way that the receipts and the inventory are going to look in Retail Pro. Really does make it seamless for you and make it easy. So as I said, this is just a very high level. I wanted to show you the 3 main pieces. Certainly, we always say if you want a more detailed demo, you want to get into some more specifics about your shopping cart platform or what shopping cart platforms you're looking at, then let's have that conversation. Let's talk about your version of Retail Pro. Let's talk about your setup, and let's get you some pricing, some timing, so that you can go ahead and really make this move towards e-commerce. Okay, so before we go ahead and get into some questions, let's really talk about one of the big questions that we get all the time. And this is the when of those three questions, if you remember, that we listed earlier. So when is how long? What is the timing? Well, the timing, it's based on several factors. And again, we encourage you to reach out for a full demo and let's have a discussion about your specific needs. And that will give you a better idea of what timing would look like. So the first point to consider is current demand. Current demand fluctuates throughout the year. Right now, it's probably at an all-time high. Certainly as we move through different seasons and different time periods, that can change. But at the end of the day, the quicker you get on the schedule, the quicker you can get this thing up and running. Now, the second point is your existing website. Do you have one, or are you starting with a new website or a new shopping cart? If you have a website, does it already handle online sales? This will actually help determine the timeline more than any other factor. What's interesting is if you don't have an existing site that you sell on, it's actually typically faster to get up and running. And that's probably the opposite of what you might think, but a brand new selling platform is really, let's think about it as a clean canvas that we can link our Retail Pro inventory items to and create a configuration. So there has to be a link between Retail Pro and the items that you have on your website. So as our example of Shopify, if I already had an existing Shopify website that was creating its own set of SKU numbers for products with its own descriptions and its own variants, and then I wanted to try to marry that up with Retail Pro, I'm going to have to do some linking. I'm going to have to say that the Shopify number for this product maps to the Retail Pro ALU for this product. And maybe the descriptions have to be adjusted. Maybe the images have to be adjusted. So when you just have one system of record as Retail Pro, you can just push everything out. It actually is easier. It actually is faster. But we have plenty of people who already have an online website, and we can simply help you make those connections. And then next is your workload, right? So at IMS, our e-commerce team, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing this since version 8. And we've got our system and our process pretty much down. So a lot of what determines how fast you can be live is you, right? We understand that you're still trying to operate a business day to day, and that you may not be able to say, all right, I'm going to take the next 3 days and just sit here and populate web items. We understand that's not typically reality. Just want to make you guys all understand that that will change the timeline depending on how much and how long you're able to commit to this throughout the process. And then lastly, your Retail Pro version, whether it be 8, 9, or Prism, yeah, that matters. It's going to affect the way that the integration works, the way that it looks, the way that it feels, but we can do it with all of them. Now, I will tell you, as version 8 has become end of life, end of support, along with Windows 7, which is the certified Windows operating system for version 8, typically it's not going to be in your best interest to link a version 8 to e-commerce. We can do it, we will do it, but I'm just here to tell you that eventually you're going to have to move off of version 8, and then there would be some incremental costs in doing that. So as you kind of see an upgrade path I have here, right? V8 to V9, V9 to Prism, or V8 to Prism, which typically is going to be V8 to Prism or V9 to Prism. Really, we want to get you to Prism. certainly talk to us about that as well. If you're on an older version, we'd love to do a demo, have a conversation about that, and maybe include that as part of an overall sweeping project with e-commerce integration as well. And then the last point I have on here is just shopping cart changes as part of the upgrade path. Certainly, if you're going to change shopping carts along the way, there may just be some incremental cost or some work that needs to be done as well. I think that's pretty reasonable, and most people understand that if you're going to make a change to the platform, then a change has to be made to the integration. Okay, so that is pretty much what I have for slides and for demo, and I hope that you guys have been putting some questions. Definitely been seeing the chat going a lot here. Haven't really looked over at it so I could focus on the presentation, but let's go ahead and take a look at that and then go ahead and field some of your questions.